Mm.
Okay. Hello everybody. Let me actually share my screen first. If I where's the share in the Zoom? When my Zoom window gets small, it goes to the other one. All right. Um yeah, where that Campbell. Pilot commuting is October 8th, meeting is by TN to conduct. This thing is recorded and will be uploaded to the Kubeflow YouTube account after the call is ended. If anybody here and uh, it's Madison here for that
Oh, I missed
kind of
that. Yeah.
that.
Okay. I'll just move it down.
But since it's not here, you could go for it first, human.
Yeah. Today, uh, oh, and um, I don't like if this is something that we want to block on for 2.15, uh, because I don't think I'm leaning towards no, because it doesn't really prevent the user from installing it on like using 3.10 if they wanted to. Just because that's the minimum on the package. I don't think it's like particularly urgent that we block a release on this. It'd be nice to get the PR in. I know the PR author is here. Aniket, sorry if I mispronounced your name. I think you're working on the Python upgrade. Okay, you're muted. I don't know if you're trying to.
Yeah, I do know they are the
Okay.
PR author. I've been interacting with them on Slack trying to help them get through some of the rest of the CI.
Yeah. So if we can get that going, that'd be nice. It should be relatively straightforward to just have the notices and the versions and everything bumped. But yeah, don't think we need to block on it per se. Just another announcement. The tests, CI and the test infra and the test suites have all gone through like a massive overhaul. Um, Nilesh is the mastermind behind it. He unfortunately is now off on PTO for this week, and he's going to be in India for the next month, so he's probably not going to be able to join this call for some time. So I'm just making the announcement for him. All the test pipelines are now located in one location instead of being distributed throughout the repository. There's the pipeline executions that are happening against the live deployment are all happening through one suite instead of multiple. And there's just been a lot of like cleanup with regards to that. So it's pretty cool stuff. If you're curious about where those tests are, they're just in the test data folder at the root of the repository. I'll link it in the docs. And that's about it. I don't really have any other announcements. Let's see, discuss in my absence. What does Matt want us to discuss? Uh, oh yeah, this is the component stuff. Um, Yeah. So I mean I'm in close conversations with Matt about this, so I'm obviously in agreement. Um, Chen, since we have you on this call, it'd be good to get your stance on it, since I think there's impacts to Google and there's a bot that constantly merges as well to that location.
Sure, I think we just need to update our bot, etc.
So you're plus one for this.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
that.
plus one.
Mhm.
Okay. The I don't know what the name of the bot is, but the automatic bot merger will need to be updated. And I guess I'll just put an action item for you for the if there's anything that like needs to happen, I guess on your end with like
Sure.
references to docs and stuff. Shin will follow on whether any impact to Vertex and any downstream changes are required there. Okay. What do you know Capital One's stance on this, Michael? We can also.
I can confirm that all the data science teams, I know they don't use like the built-in components. They use other in-house components.
Yeah, okay. I think Arkun's Alex's response in that thread is impacted by this. I don't know if he's aware of it, but like Alex, or maybe here, Humer. Let's see Alex's response as well related to this. Yeah, so I think but his is more related to I think V1. I'm kind of having a hard time deciphering his comment. Uh, like I'm not sure if he's getting the impression that we're removing the components feature from KFP, which we're not doing. But we will move the V1 components along with the V2 components in this external repo. I would expect us to actually remove, I mean, we can keep the V1 components around. My preference is not to do that. But if there's community feedback that there's still a lot of users that are using these, then I mean, I'm not going to argue against that. We can keep them around. My biggest peeve is that they should be in the external repo. So we'll go, I think that since we're all on board with it, the next action item will be to identify a repo name and a location. And Andre, you always join in the nick of time when we need you. So how do we go about getting a repo provision? I guess we would have to come to the KSC for it, or
I was wondering, guys, like if you agree on whether it will be in the our org or country org. What is your
yeah,
decision?
I guess I had an action item to bring that up to the community call, right? So maybe that's our next step is to uh, hold on. So action items to bring up the location of this repo to Kubeflow community. I think that's the only blocker now.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So did you make an agreement like where you want to have this repo or not yet?
I think because the contrib repo, my current thinking is that that's not the right. It just looks abandoned. So my preference would be to just have it in the Kubeflow org, unless there's like a lot of pushback. I guess if there's no pushback, then I think keeping things under one org makes sense to me. It's just another repo, so I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah, I think as long as those components are maintained, it will make sense for them to have in our org. I think more importantly, find owners of these components.
Yeah, well, see, maintained is that requires, so I would identify maintainership like if they're being supported as we are running CI on them, right? Um, I I agree with you. I think that like I think we should have strict guidelines. So like we should have owners files, we should have people that are committed to it, and they should be ran against CI. If the CI are failing and they continue to fail and the owners are not responding and we don't have others to pick it up, then they should be removed, right? Like I think we should be pretty rigorous in that. Like we should not have broken pipelines in a repository under the main org. But I think my preference is for it to be in the main org. I'll bring this up. The KFP maintainers meet every week. I'll bring this up into the sync and see where their head is at. And if there's agreement, then we can pitch it in the Kubeflow community call. And yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. I mean, if pipelines maintainers agree to have them in the Kubeflow pipelines components subfolder, sub repository.
Yeah.
Let's definitely do this.
Okay. Cool. I think that's all the topics we had today. It's a pretty quiet day today. Anybody have anything they would like to bring up?
It was kind of maybe a quick question. So in terms of the I know that you're planning to have a release of 3.0 some sort of, right? Do we have a time frame or not yet? A timeline, sorry, for the 3.0.
Right now we're thinking end of Q1.
Mm.
So we've had some discussions about it in the past. Starting blocker for like realistic. So we have a roadmap of items that we want in on V1. An action item for me is to make this into a project timeline, like a GitHub feature that allows you to do that. And we're going to use that as our milestone. And once we're completed that, we'll do a 2.5 release. So after 2.15, everything in the development branch will be targeted towards 3.0 is what I think we should do. And given the majority of the features that we want going in and like the changes that we want going into 3.0, we are expecting them to be finished by like mid to late Q1.
Yeah, makes sense. Kind of like, more worry about, I think we also have deprecation of V1 sometime in December. So definitely, I think we need to follow up on exposure and tell users to migrate and
We
tell about
announced it a
maybe.
while ago.
Mhm.
The deprecation, we announced it in March of last year. We tried to get if that news is still hitting people, and we need to be more visible about it, then open to ideas on how to do that. But we put a discussion notice out. We've mentioned it quite on every community call for I think the past
Yep.
year. We've put it out in Slack. I don't know.
Yeah, I
What do
just
you
remember like
suggest?
we've also been thinking about, updating SDK to include warning in the
Yeah.
KPV1.
Oh, yes. I think
Mm.
we did. Did we had discussed that, right?
I think if anything, I don't know. I don't imagine Alex is planning another like release cut for V1. But I don't recall if the 1.8.23 uh release that he did for vulnerabilities included that deprecation or removal.
Okay.
So I think when we released SDK 2.0, we already stopped support for the V1 API. I think we had the warning in 1.8.
Has it been on the SDK? Like the
Yeah, so
V1
SDK only supports like one set of API. That's the V2. Like today, if you try to submit a V1 component using SDK 2.0 plus, then there will be an error actually.
So the V1 SDK compiles into the workflow, Argo workflows, right?
Yeah.
Yes, V1 compiles to Argo, and 1.8 compiles to. You can configure to compile to both Argo and the V2, and the API is V1. And then
Yeah.
starting 2.0, the API switched to V2. So V1's already stopped
No,
working.
the V1 APIs have been open on V2. You can submit workflows. Yeah. So
Yes, but you have to use like SDK 1 point something to submit because the client there's only one choice for the client. The SDK has two parts, right? The DSL for compilation and the client. The client always only support one version.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I don't know if there was any update in terms of like the response from the V1 API endpoints of what is like currently on master. But I feel like that would probably like if the client submits the job, the response back We could probably like say like, hey, it's going to be removed in the next release.
But it might have been prevented in the client, but like could I not still just take the V1 SDK, compile it, and submit it via the UI? Because if you submit an Argo workflow via the UI, that will hit the V1 endpoints. Or I could submit it via REST, and since the endpoints are open, right?
Yes, UI or like their
Yeah,
sometimes the user have their own like SDK wrapper. They might.
yeah. And I don't think we ever put down a deprecation notice on those V1 endpoints, did we?
I don't recall.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't matter because we put a notice out regardless for all of that back in March. I think it's fair we can put a notice out in SDK as a, hey, we're looking at this timeline to remove it, the V1 endpoints as well, and the SDK client has all. I guess, does it really make sense to include it in the SDK since the SDK has, so I think that's your point then, Chen, right? Like there's no reason to add
Yeah,
a
I think from
notification.
SDK we already give that notice.
Yeah. I think then we shouldn't add one to the SDK. Unless we want to start advertising notices for like KFP proper via the SDK. I think just to get the knowledge out because like, not everybody's attending community calls, not everybody's in Slack, and not everybody. The best location would have been the UI, I think. We just don't have that today. So I'll raise this as well with the
Let's try to, yes, let's try to rise it in the community call several times. So we're going to have again regular community calls on Tuesdays. We're going to move graduation call because we finished the graduation, not the the acceptance, but at least the application. So we're going to move it back to community calls every Tuesday. Let's maybe notify on these calls as well. Like maybe some of the pipeline maintainers can join and talk about this and talk about updates. I think this is important to socialize.
Okay, I'll put also a agenda item down. So let's see. So the community call is next Tuesday. All right. Okay, I'll join it. Meeting notes for next meeting are not up. Proposed agenda items. Okay. KFP. Google Docs is being slow. Chen, fix it. Okay, I'll add it. Okay, I don't know. This doc is so long, it's like really slow to load. Okay, I'll bring it up to the Kubeflow community call, and it sounds good.
Yeah, just remind me another topic quickly before we wrap the call. Like I know Matt has been working on kind of like improve integration between Kubeflow SDK and KFP SDK, and he kind of like identify a few pain points and existing challenges we have. So so there is some work going to kind of like improve this capability to run train jobs within KFP. So I'd love to pipelines maintainers to take a look on the recent updates and at least give us, some sort of understanding whether this new way of propagating options makes sense. Because I think in the end, like we want to have more kind of simple integration to create train jobs within pipeline components. I know Matt has been, he's been making some examples here, some other, like checklist items he identify. Would love to hear your feedback if any of you have time to take a look.
I've just delegated, like I've just left Matt to engage in this, but I
Alright.
can take a look if you're looking for opinions. I can put
Right.
this on my list of things to look at. But if as Matt, I guess I see Matt has been commenting. Let's see.
Yeah, like we just have a call like 1 hour ago in terms of whether this new API like options will give all the capabilities he
Okay.
might find useful. So we just want to understand like whether this is sufficient for the build this KFP integration.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ping Matt. I'm sure he'll see it anyways, but I'll.
Right.
the reply. All right.
And I guess like, as we agree on the issue for including Kubeflow SDK, we're gonna just use extras, correct?
I have to comment well saying that, yeah, I think that makes that I agree with Matt's comments there. I don't see a downside with that approach. I think it gets it like it I think it makes sense that if a user is intending to use Kubeflow SDK with KFP, right, they will import it into their into their pipeline code. And we can just detect it. So we don't have to always download it. We can detect when it's being imported, and from the user's perspective, they don't see a difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would love, for us at some point in the future when we discuss real code, talk about this migration story. Like what we should offer for our users. Whether the pipelines and other parts of Kubeflow stay separate or want to combine them in one Python package. I think at some point we should definitely talk about it, maybe more concretely. Maybe like sometime after KubeCon or around this time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there is kind of a way how to give users kind of simple experience, of using pipelines within all those other components together. I think there are some potential, we can improve it. Especially with 3.0 work you guys planning to do so. So let's definitely follow up.
Yeah, I agree. Migration is definitely going to be a big one. Like, I think we're going to have to be very careful about it. Like, folks tend to have a lot of their pipelines already created, uploaded. They're going to be by the time we get around to this, now that we have like GitOps support, a lot of their pipelines will be sitting there. So, if at some point like these packages are harmonized, that means everybody's pipelines are going to have to be updated. Is there going to be like how long are we going to continue to support like import on KFP SDK statements and so on? Like, so yeah, we can definitely start this discussion after KubeCon. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think probably the question we should answer whether we want to include this in 3.0 because that will require migration in any case, correct? Like 3.0.
Oh yeah. Oh man, 3.0 is becoming bigger and bigger. So okay. Yeah. Can I encourage you to raise this next week? Oh, sorry, next call where like we also have Matt, we have Alex also present, and
Okay.
Chen, if you could also make this one's a big one. I know that Chen, you looked at the doc as well, so you might have
Yeah, I
some
remember, Chen,
opinions
we've
there.
been talking a little bit with you about it, like in the, back in
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
The client sides could be kind of separated, and you could have this as a separate client, the client side of KFP we're talking about. Would love to, hear your feedback in terms of whether that makes sense for you for the long term.
Okay, so when is the next meeting? On the 22nd? I'll just put an agenda item and I'll put it down for you, Andre, if you'll be present. Discuss plans for KF and KFP SDK and 3.0 considerations. I'm going to keep it vague because I feel like it's going to be strong opinions there. All right. Anything else? Sorry, Michael.
No worries.
My hostess is taking over.
It's like instinct for you, I could imagine. Okay. I guess if nothing else, we can adjourn early. Yeah. Let me stop this thing.